Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Veena Howard. I'm professor of Asian Religious Traditions in the Department of Philosophy. How are you? How are you really doing? Take 10 seconds and check in with yourself. If you were in a classroom, I'll do that. This is one of the practices of mindfulness. Next slide. So while technological tools for teaching and assessment methods help us to be effective instructors, mindfulness practices contribute in following ways: enhance cognitive and academic performance, management of stress, which we have a lot of it nowadays, and the quality of concentration. Next slide. So right mindfulness is one of the steps of the Buddhist path to end suffering, which is dukkha, or existential suffering. The Pali word is samasati, or right memory, or right awareness. Here is the bringing awareness to the present moment. So various studies show that such awareness helps us to stay focused in the present, and it enhances both concentration and creativity. So here we have to go from mindful to mindful. And how do you make this transition? I like to share some of the tools with you. Next slide. So the first one is to acknowledge students and our own anxieties and challenges. Feelings, whether of compassion or irritation, should be welcomed, recognized, and treated on an absolutely equal basis because both are ourselves. It's very important that feelings of irritation and frustration and negative feelings are treated on an equal basis. And also, we are not teaching robots, we are human beings. We have feelings and we are stressed. So it's okay to be vulnerable and show vulnerability to students. There was a recent article by Brené Brown on the value of vulnerability. Next slide, please. So how do we turn remote and distance learning into connection, which is oxymoron in itself? So what we can do is show sympathy for students' busy lives, encourage them to treat online classes as real classroom. I mean, they can push the Zoom button or classroom meeting and take a snooze. Creative activities that connect students with one another, and the other faculty members will be speaking on that. And we know that we all do multitasking, but it can be exhausting. So stay on the task if we can. The third one is engaged presentations, and I remain mindful of the distractions at in-home learning and teaching environment. And so begin with welcoming words or something personally relatable to students, a picture or a news paper article. And try to replicate a voice and gestures of a real classroom setting, which is not easy as we have distractions of our in-home setting. Well, so if human can heal, relax, undo the ego, and entertain all at the same time, that sounds enlightening enough for me. So we can use a little something to sprinkle our lectures with humor. So like this little cartoon. Oh, master, is it proper for a monk to use email? Sure, as long as there are no attachments. I know you're smiling, all of you. So let's add compassion to our curriculum. This was an article in the Chronicle recently, and this morning's email from the Vice Provost's office said the word compassion. So we have to adjust our expectations, stay aware of the students' limitations, and also my own constraints. Communicate with colleagues and students. The goal is really to stay healthy, safe, and intellectually and emotionally engaged. Mindfulness experts recommend simple breathing exercises and meditation. Next slide. So when watching after yourself, you watch after others. When you're watching after others, you watch after yourself. Social distancing should not be emotional distancing. Next slide. So the present moment is the only time over which we have dominion. And I thank you for being present with me.